All right, I'm back. Ryan, did what's his name? Rich ever find out? We need to find out. Fix it. Whatever. I was looking at the time, so I didn't really see the notification. Alright, good talk.
Sorry, I was trying to figure out how to turn up my thing, and I didn't have it on speaker, so now I can hear.
Yeah, I was talking to Ryan though.
What'd you say? I was trying to figure out my thing.
Did Rich ever figure out what he was trying to figure out?
Yeah, he said he did. He said he's gonna be in here in just a second.
Alright.
He said that he believed he figured it out. So he said that he should be good to go. I guess he's joining in a few minutes.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna step away just for 1 second.
Hey, Martin.
Hey, Seth.
I have a question for you since you're old. So Tony's moving. He wants to move into the house, right?
Sure.
And so Jarrett is making me confused about his moving into the house.
Anybody can. If the only really confusing part, well, it shouldn't be really confusing, is just commander picks first, then what's it called? Lower number goes next.
But there's no one that wants to live in the house at the moment, so.
Does Jared not want to?
Well, he's like the only one left.
Is he going to live next semester? No.
Yes.
So he'll be able to choose which room he wants to live in, and then next person beside, which is probably like what, Tony, can choose after that, and the next person after that.
Okay.
Yeah, don't make it more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah, he just told me about this form, and he was telling me that, you know, it should have went through the proper channels, and that he should have been explained to these steps. And I was like, "Whoa, buddy!" I was like, "This isn't on me."
No, it's not. And it does need to go through those. Those are it's really just like a sublease, which they're probably looking at.
Okay. Thanks for clearing that for me.
Yeah, I think that's a sublease. I have not lived in the house, so I don't know. I haven't really looked at it.
Okay. I didn't know if you knew or not, so.
Yeah. How you doing, Rich?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Nothing much.
So, can you hear me all right? Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
So, quick question though. As far as people living in the house, isn't there something in the bylaws about requiring I don't know, at least some of the rooms to be filled, or a percentage, or something like that?
I mean, I can look at it. Yeah, there might be something about that.
I believe that there is. Maybe it got taken out. But I believe at one time that there was, just because we had, such an issue. Nobody was living in the house, but you guys were all paying for it. I mean, you got to pay for it anyway, but you see what I'm saying?
Well, I would the only reason I was confused is because he was telling me, and I know we're cutting into our time, but I was talking to him, and he said that he didn't like that Tony didn't have a job. And I was trying to explain to him, like, Tony was always like, he was up on his dues all the time. Like, he literally owed us nothing. And literally Jarrett owes more to the fraternity than anyone does. And I don't think he really has a place to be saying anything about what people owe right now.
Okay. So Tony, who, Vaughn?
Yeah, he's coming back.
Okay, good. He's got himself straightened out. And
he's also like the
person
that has expressed any interest in living in the house. And Jarrett's just giving him a hard time, I think.
Okay. Well, I think that goes back to when he was like a brand new brother.
Yeah.
That's honestly, I think that's all that it is. And
Yeah.
I'll have if I need to have a conversation with Tony, that's cool. You seem to know him, and so I just kind of pass that on to him. It's like, hey man, don't you know Jared from before? He gets a bee in his bonnet about some things, and he won't let it go.
Yeah.
And he's a lot like a grumpy old man in that way.
Yeah. You're
I
right.
mean, I'll tell him to his face. It's like, dude, you act like you're 52. You're my age.
Yeah.
Get off my lawn. Kind of shit.
Yeah, you're right.
But I mean, it is what it is. If he wants to live in the house, then you're paying for it, dude. Live in the damn house.
That's what I said.
But I can. There's something, unless it's been taken out. There's something that tells me that there's something in the bylaws that requires those rooms to be filled.
Yeah,
there is.
They haven't been filled, so.
Oh, I've been breaking the bylaws.
Yeah, Article 6, the house.
Okay.
Just scroll all the way down.
But we do need the money, so.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It.
That's why I told him, I told him, I was like, please, Jared, do not drive off the only person that wants to live in the house right now. I said, we can't afford to do that.
Yeah, no shit.
Anyways, moving on.
So, is besides holidays and everything else, is there anything else that's come up that we need to chat about real quick? Is everything else just kind of moving along, getting ready to start next semester? I have not heard anything back from the alumni as far as funding Rush. So if Ricardo, if you can pass that on to Carlos, if he's not on the call, I don't see him listed, but so that's kind of where I'm at with that. Let me know about the funds for College of Chapters. It's January 3rd, right? 3rd through the 6th.
Correct.
Okay. So is it just you, Ricardo, that's going?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I agreed. This is an agreement that Jared and I made a while back to fund your trip up there at $120 if it was one guy. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever your transportation, Jared was that, or I guess, you can, jump on the ball too, since you're the new commander. But, y'all were going to get transportation worked out, whether you're going to carpool with another chapter or somebody was just going to drive. Right. But, like $120 for meals up there and back kind of thing, because once you get there, everything's taken care of. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. That's just the only thing that we have not figured out, Jarrett. I've asked Jarrett here the past couple of weeks, and he just said that he hasn't figured it out yet, that he's in the works of it. But so I haven't gotten an answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
You may need to take the bull by the horns, being the new commander. You know what I'm saying? Don't wait for somebody else to do something for you, kind of thing. Try and.
Yes, sir. And I'm willing to drive. It's just more so if I need to figure out, and I just need a response if he has gotten me to carpool or if I need to drive up there, because I can drive, but I need to know now so that I can figure out transportation, because my personal vehicle, the car that I have, will not make it up to Virginia.
Okay, but you have another vehicle
I could possibly get another vehicle. Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and work on that. So if some type of carpooling effort falls through, that you're covered. You got your bases covered. You know what I'm saying? So, and hit Jared up again. Once again, I'll touch base with him and go, hey man, how do you want me to get this money to you, kind of thing, and see if that can provoke some type of action. So.
Yeah, I know Ricardo. And I asked him, and every time that you asked me, I asked him, and I got the same response. So I can't really do he does.
Okay. Well, even though that there's we've had elections and there's a change in leadership, the existing leadership is still in power. You know what I'm saying? There doesn't need to be a dropping of the ball, so to speak. We need to, go ahead and hit the ground running for spring semester and it not take us, a month to kind of get back into the swing of things from the holidays. And you guys know, I mean, I'm not saying anything new. We just need to do it kind of thing. So anyway. All right, so I'm gonna quit preaching off my soapbox and all that kind of good shit because you guys already know y'all do a great job the majority of the time on stuff. We just need to realize where we need to tighten up kind of thing. All right, guys. So the lead session number 4 is effective change. So first of all, effective change is listed as is defined as a plan of action that provides a structured, consistent, and measurable change environment to be used across an organization. And first of all, why would you need structure in your change? Anybody?
Because unstructured change is just chaos.
Right. So you need a plan of action, and everybody needs to be on the same page. That's why you have to have structure, right? So why do you need to have consistency in that change? It's change. So why does something consistent have to be in there?
I would say that having a consistency in change, so everything's structured, so everything's not changing all at once, so you can slowly progress with change rather than it all hit you all at once.
Okay.
Yeah, and so people don't freak out.
Do what, Seth?
I said it's so people don't freak out because
right.
If you're not doing it in a timely manner or you're not doing it on people's time schedules and you just change things, then nobody's going to be happy and everybody's going to be confused.
Right. Okay, so a great way to sum it up, excuse me, and this is part of a management type tool that I learned a long time ago. But consistency breeds credibility. That's a cool little saying. It's a concise way of summing everything up. Consistency breeds credibility. You don't have to be the best in the world every single day. If you're consistent and like say a restaurant, if you consistently provide good food or the best food that you can put out, whatever your menu is, provide good food, provide great service and a clean environment, nice, pleasant, blah, blah, blah. As long as you do all those basic legs of your business in the best way that you can consistently, that will get noticed. You will be a successful business, right? As far as transfer that to what you guys do on a daily basis, you have to do things the same way every time as far as your procedures. Okay, you set a routine for yourself. And it's like, okay, well, this is a weekly deal. This is a monthly deal. This is a semester deal. And if you can prioritize things to that, then break them down in those categories. I'm just using this as an example. I mean, people use different things, whatever fits them the best, but I'm just using this as an example. You break those down into whatever categories and then execute those per whatever priority you've set for them or what priority they need to be set at versus, so like I said, consistency breeds credibility. You do things the same way. all the time, and it produces results. So why measurable? Why should you measure change?
Well, I guess I'll just talk again, but I would say, when you have to measure your change, because if you can't measure your change, then you're not going to be able to determine your output. So,
Correct.
without like knowing where you're going, so what your change is doing, if you don't know exactly what's going to happen and how fast it's happening, then you're either not going to accomplish enough or it's going to spiral out of control.
Right. So once again, putting it back on you guys with what you guys do, you have to have some type of self-assessment. Okay. Like the EC does, but the whole fraternity does. There needs to be some type of, maybe end of the semester grade, scorecard or something that you guys, and I know that generally first chapter or whatever the semester you go over the past, like our POE or whatever report that we've gotten from national, and it's they kind of run through it real quick and blah 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 blah, and that's that, right? It's just kind of like, hey, make everybody aware, but some of those things we really do need to work on. So just being aware of it is fine, but once you're aware, you need to be able to measure or track that progress or lack of progress. So okay, well, this is working, this is not working, so we need to change the way that we're doing this area that's not working, blah blah blah. So moving on, there's 3 types of change. There's static change, dynamic change, and then dynamical change. We can't come up with any better words, so we're going to just add something on to the second one and make it sound cool. So dynamical. So static change is one-dimensional. It's a one-dimensional shift of change before, like a before and after picture. You know what I'm saying? Like on off. That's static change. Basically, something was one way and now it's a different way because of an outside force. The way that you assess or check static change is you use a checklist. Like good, bad, on, off. Yes, no. That's that type of thing. And either or. And that's fine. It doesn't give you very much other than just, well, did it happen or did it not happen? Or is it this way or is it that way? That doesn't always equal the data that you need to make educated decisions on progressive change. So it's okay for certain things, but it's not your great, effective change management plan. So dynamic change is movement along a predictable, measurable arc from one point to another. Like you trying to think of a good example that you guys are a good example for you guys. So basically, just like the semester runs, okay, everybody, if you've been to school for more than a semester, especially for a whole year, then you know exactly how things roll. It's not a big surprise that, okay, it's this month, so that means this kind of stuff is going on. You like take fall for instance. Boom, fall comes in. You start fall. That there's football. That there's rush. Da 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 da. And then you go through a little bit of a down period during the interim weeks when there's not a lot going on with the football team, whether they're off, whether they're out of town, just whatever. But school work is the same way. There's just a lot more action and everything's just kind of balls out for September, October. And then, it starts to kind of go down in November, and then, after midterms, and then, December rolls around and boom, we got finals. So, how that action or that arc is going to take you, right? You can make a plan of action to be successful on that arc, right? And you can track your path on, once again, a predetermined measurable or on a predetermined point of measurable goals and outcomes. So basically, you've made your tracking or your checklist for dynamic change based on a preconceived notion of how you want to get to where you're going, or to achieve your goal, right? But there's not a lot of room in there for predictive thinking or adaptive change, which, that's kind of like shift on what I like to call shift on the fly. In military terms, it's adapt and overcome. There's no in the military has a saying that there's, you can have the greatest plan in the world, or no plan survives first contact. That's a pretty concise way of saying it. No plan survives first contact. Meaning that you can have the best plan in the world, but it won't ever encompass every single option, every single, it just, something's going to happen that you didn't plan for, and you've got to adjust. The enemy does something that you're not used to, or one of your guys, doesn't do, something. There's going to be something that happens that you have to adjust for right then on the fly, or the mission's a failure. So, adapt and overcome kind of thing. Excuse me. Dynamic change has been kind of the go-to for businesses and corporations for years and years and years. So dynamical change is a process of self-organization and emergence that characterize human systems. That's a whole lot. Ongoing, unpredictable interdependence. Proactive change is success measured by the degree to which the system has the capacity to adapt and respond in sustainable and resilient ways. And so basically what this all is saying is kind of like what I alluded to when I was talking about dynamic change, is that it brings in the adaptive change. And basically adaptive change, like I said, is shift on the fly. Okay, well, I've got this predictive arc, I've got this way that I'm going to do things that's worked, and this is our plan, but I can't step there. This is the next step, but I can't step there. I've got to step here, and that's going to change my road. That's going to change my arc. So I need to readjust based on that step, or see if there's a way to take a step in a different direction. You see where I'm going? And then, excuse me. And then, once again, along with adaptive change, I was talking about predictive change, and that's saying, okay, well, I've done something like this before, or my intel tells me that it's going to be like this. So based on that, I'm going to make a plan, a base plan A. So on top of that base plan, you have to have predictive changes in there to try and accommodate for all these different four instances that can happen. And that's part of predictive change that flows into adaptive change. That helps you with that shift on the fly, in the moment, in the heat of the moment kind of thing, to make those type of on the fly decisions that, it's kind of like instinct, kind of thing. So anyway, you guys have any questions or comments or anything you don't understand, or any of that good stuff? Nobody, nothing. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we're still here. So far everything seems pretty good. I understand basically all of what you're explaining and all that, and I agree with all of it.
Okay. Let's see. So, a couple of things. Just the the way that things change. The only thing that's constant is change, kind of thing. So just say in the past 20 years, okay, less than half of Americans, okay, had access to the internet in 1998. You guys were born right around the turn of the century, right? You guys are about 20, 19, 20, 21, right around in there, right? So, 98. The same, and 98 was the same year that Google was born or invented, whatever. And here's another one that you guys can probably relate to is that a lot, I won't say the majority, but many of today's college majors didn't exist 20 years ago. There was no such thing. Basically, this is, just to show that change is constant. And, as people and organizations, you need to focus on change. And if you don't take steps to get better, to be innovative, to come up with new ideas, and to continually improve, just because things are running great doesn't mean that you can't improve them and you can't tweak them. Now, the whole thing of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's fine. If you're talking about how to build a tree fort kind of thing. You do it this way, you measure twice, cut once, blah, blah, blah. It's a very structured way of doing things. It's a very follow the directions kind of deal. But when you're talking about putting the right people in the right spot to get the most out of all of these people, with them in the right spot, to utilize their strengths. Not everybody can be a great treasurer. Not everybody can be, a good chaplain. There's different people have different strengths. And that falls into part of being a great leader. All of you guys can be great leaders while working together as a team under a leader, if that makes sense. But once again, you have to be focused on continually improving. Otherwise, your success will only be varied, and it won't be self-sustaining. So, which pages here? So, sorry guys, with all the work that I was doing trying to get my camera and microphone on Teams, I lost my place. Give me just a sec.
You're totally fine.
Yeah, you're good, Rich.
So if we were all at the fraternity house and doing this in the chapter room, we had this cool exercise that they came up with about splitting off into groups and making paper airplanes and flying them at me. I'm kind of glad we didn't do that. Not that I'm worried you guys are going to bomb Pearl Harbor or nothing, but still. All right, so they have this thing called a change inventory, and they're change inventory terms. And I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time over them, but they've rated them with either a positive or a negative number, or scored them even. I'm just gonna give you a couple of examples, and tell me if you think that it's a positive value, a negative value, or even. Okay. So build. Anybody?
What was it?
All right. So build. The term is build. Like build back better, right? So is build a positive or a negative, or an even?
Positive.
Right. It'd be a positive. Fun.
You say fun?
Yeah, fun.
It's a positive.
Okay. It's funny that the way that they score this, fun is actually a +15 and build is a +10. So what does that tell you guys just right there, using just those two examples? What does that tell you?
I would say it probably means that people value fun more than they do progress.
Okay, but fun is more of an emotional reaction, correct? Because not every single thing is fun for everybody. So it's more of a subjective term, right?
Yeah.
Build is an action. I'm going to build this. I'm going to build that. I'm going to do this. It's an action term. Fun is not an action. It's a subjective emotion. You see where I'm going with this? So they scored it higher because in today's change, feelings and word feelings, meaning words that produce a more emotional action or response than just a basic action word, i.e., build versus fun. More emphasis is being put on words like that. If you guys were my age, you would be able to see the different labeling things and calling things easier names or more progressive names or whatever term you want to use. And I'm not trying to be political in any way, but it's a process. It's a way to, you can throw in a multitude of adjectives here, but it's a way to change a mindset, an environment, an outlook such as that. So, so this is just kind of a question for the group. So why do you think you react to change the way that you do? Everybody reacts to change. Some people really like it. Some people really don't. Some people are just, meh, go with the flow. But everybody reacts to change in some way. They either like it, don't like it, initially, blah, blah, there's all different kinds of initial reactions. So somebody give me an example of why you think you react to change the way that you do.
I would say that in my personal life, I react negatively to change because my emotions and my personal psyche is I'm a lot more happy with things that are comfortable and familiar.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say that I would be more comfortable with negative change is negative to me sometimes because I've had to move a lot over the past 2 years and I have to get used to new things and things like that, and it's scary. So I like having a standard just kind of steady flow of life rather than always having to up and move to another state or having to figure out jobs and things like that.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I'm the same way. I don't like change at all. However, as I don't always react to it negatively, in my head, I'm going, yeah, this sucks a big one. What the hell? Who's thinking, what brain surgeon came up, all those cool little thoughts run through my mind. And I'm like, okay, give it a chance, dude. You know, I get that kind of settle out, I get the initial burn and then you settle out and then, okay, we're easygoing cruising here. But yeah, when I was younger, it was a lot worse because I moved around, like you, Ryan. I moved around a good bit. Um, but yeah, I don't think there's many people that when you're talking about changing your life, like moving, say, or having to change schools, boom, 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 throughout high school. There's plenty of people that have changed, schools multiple times. I changed once from freshman to sophomore. I moved from Pensacola to Homewood. Excuse me. And that was culture shock. Like, I mean, I don't even know how to describe that to you guys. But I embraced it. Excuse me. It was a cool environment. Started playing football, blah, blah, blah. I embraced the whole deal. I kind of wish I'd rather, stayed in Pensacola sometimes, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. But like I said, it's a lot of people initially react to change negatively or poorly or whatever. So, with most of you in the consensus, is there anybody in the group that doesn't have that opinion? I'd love to hear, if somebody's excited about change. I don't want you to be.
Personally, I will say that I I'm very indifferent about it, and that's just for the sole fact is that when it comes to change in my life, I really don't know what to expect just because I feel like I just had life thrown at me. Uh so there's sometimes where I can react negatively like everybody else because I'm comfortable. Uh and I just like to stay where I am. But then sometimes I've seen myself react positively because in that instance something is getting better, whether that be to benefit myself or somebody else.
Right on. Right on. So with most people, kind of having the same outlook, initial outlook, I'd say, towards change. What are some of the fears? Because generally negativity, there's some type of fear that's driving that negativity. So what is it about the negative part of change? It's don't like um your schedule, not being the same, or the like moving, you have to the upheaval of that. But I mean, are there any underlying fears that if you can identify, is it just kind of fear of the unknown? Is it the fear of moving to a new place? Will I be accepted? Will I be liked? Blah blah. Is it that type of fear? Unfortunately, you guys really haven't been out in the corporate world, and so changing jobs is going to be a little bit different experience. Um, versus the that type of experience that you've had versus when you actually get into your careers, later in life. Um, Hopefully you won't have to change jobs. You'll find that great job right out the gate. But don't put all your eggs in one basket on that one. But yeah, I mean, is there any other things that you guys can identify about change that may initially react negatively or poorly to that?
Yeah. For me, I would say that just having like the negative part of change for me is just having to basically restart from what I'm at. With like moving and stuff. Like I moved from North Georgia to South Alabama, then to here, so I had to restart basically like twice. Everything I knew, I had to just relearn everything. And I'm also trying to change jobs now, so I'm scared that I'm gonna have to relearn everything, and I'm gonna have to, try to fit into where I'm at, and hopefully I can do it. And just the fear of having to fit in, and the fear of, trying to understand where I am rather than the comfort of what I'm used to for years. That's kind of where I get my fear from it.
Right on, right on. I'm sure you guys have seen scenes in movies and TV shows about interaction with a psychiatrist or psychologist, whatever, and they're trying to get over their fears, right? And it's always, hey, confront your fears, do something that blah 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 blah. But so along that line, the next time that you have an opportunity or you're presented with a quote unquote change opportunity, whether you plan it or whether it's kind of just thrust upon you, try and find one little aspect of that change process that you can embrace and like basically just kick its ass kind of thing. Go in and own it, embrace it, and go, okay, I'm going to make this shit mine, and I'm going to rock this out. And it'll help you get over or adapt to change faster, but it also makes you stronger. It also makes you better because you have now conquered something that you previously couldn't do or thought that you couldn't do. So it goes into that that whole mindset of if you have a good plan and you believe you can execute it, then it'll happen. How you go about that is going to change. So you need to be able to adjust, and part of learning how to adjust is confronting some of those change fears that can sometimes trigger you to be hesitant or apprehensive about just jumping in, and that kind of goes into people's personalities as well. I consider myself outgoing, but I'm not always the first one to jump up and hey, how you doing? I'm Rich Cranford. Good, damn glad to meet you. Blah, blah, blah. It's not. That's just not always me. Sometimes, a lot of times I sit back and just kind of I read the room first. That in as far as in my opinion is one of my gifts that I read people. I can read people's body language. Generally, I can talk to them for just a few minutes and have a lot figured out. Not that I can read your mind, or I'm not saying anything like that, but I mean, I read body language very well. And that's helped me. That's helped me, I guess, assimilate, to whatever environment that I had to be a part of, or whatever team, I had to be a part of. So let's kind of switch gears and kind of go back to talking, really about change so we can understand it a little bit better. So there's while there are three types of change, there are four phases of change. Excuse me. And if you ever get into any management training, then you'll learn about that whole type of four phase or four quadrant progression. So the first phase is infancy. That's very pretty self-explanatory. You're starting a business. There's lots of enthusiasm. New ideas. innovation because everything's brand new, right? You're inventing new ways and you're developing new ways of doing things, and you're also building a foundation for success, right? Then there's growth. Growth leads to expansion. Ideas that lead to success are built upon. Procedures that work are duplicated to engineer success. And you focus on efficiency and effectiveness. So you just keep getting better at what you do, and you're doing what you do the best that you can do. Then there's decline, which it's a breakdown in communication and a rejection of innovation. That's basically, this is the way we've always done it before, or we're just following tradition. Now, that's a word that we got to be careful about, okay? Because there's kind of two types of tradition in this aspect. There are traditions that the chapter has done, meaning like the Brother Song and stuff like that. Those are social traditions. Those aren't operational traditions, I guess, for lack of a better classification. But doing the same thing the same way every time is the definition of what? Anybody? Doing the same thing the same way and expecting different results is the definition of what?
That's the definition of insanity, isn't it?
Yes, very good.
Hey, Far Cry 3.
But yeah, doing the same thing the same way and expecting different results is insanity. You have to, if it's not working, you can't do it the same way. You've got to change the way that you're doing something. If you're not getting the right answer, if you seem to be butting heads with the guy, you're trying to work something out with your brother, and you keep butting heads with him. Maybe it's the way that you're approaching it. Always that goes back to that self-assess part. You always have to re-examine and self-assess, self-evaluate. Am I really doing this? Because it's real easy to fool yourself and like, man, I'm doing a great job. Well, are you really? Evaluate yourself. You have to be able to be honest with yourself, or you're not going to be successful. Because if you can lie to yourself and convince yourself, oh well, I'm the best in the world, Ma. Well, that's great, but that's not going to pay the power bill. That's not going to get you a great career. That's not going to let you graduate college either. Just saying. So, decline is something that it's inevitable to a point. It's inevitable if you do not take steps to correct decline and produce renewal or regrowth. And renewal obviously is the last phase, and that's making a conscious effort to understand who we are, revisit what our purpose is and our core values, and then focus on whatever innovation or new idea is going to enact the change that we want to see. And that's, that's a long way of saying, you have to realize that, okay, if this isn't working, then what isn't working about it? First of all, you identify that, and it's like, okay, then, once you've identified that, then you progress to, well, what are the ideas that we have to fix this or to change the way that we do this aspect, or how can we correct it, kind of thing. And then that's part of that renewal. Once you get new ideas and new ways of doing things, that whole, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's a cool saying, but it's not always the best way to go. More times than not, it's not the best way to go. Dealing, with fraternity, it's not the best way to go. You guys can always improve. Everybody can always be better. you may not need to always measure yourself by your predecessor. You need to measure yourself by yourself. Start with that. That's a great way, I think, to initialize some of this. That, just make the conscious effort to change, or be better. If you just make the conscious effort to be better a little bit more than you were the previous day or the previous week or the previous month or the previous semester, you're already enacting dynamical change. You know what I'm saying? So, all righty. So, when I was starting this, Brian and I had a quick conversation, but in the okay, so in the session pamphlet, the lead, like, little deal, it was talking about continuous change needs constant improvement, or means constant improvement, not needs, means. So continuous change means constant improvement. Okay. Does everybody agree with that statement? Continuous change means constant improvement. Steph, you said yes?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Does anybody else, if everybody else agrees, is there anybody that doesn't agree?
What was it again?
Okay. Continuous change means constant improvement.
Now, I know we talked about this, but I can't remember exactly what I said, like what we agreed with. I know that we said that there was some stuff that I think it all just depends, really. I think that's kind of what we went
Most
with.
things are situational, but it's blanket statements like that it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to accept this face value that all change, that's like, okay, all change is good. No, all change is not good. Just because things are in a constant state of change does not mean that they are constantly improving. Okay. That's based on the plan and the actions of the people and the procedures that go into that continuous change. Otherwise, you end up with a $15 what you call it, minimum wage, and you can't get McDonald's to stay open, from 6 to 10, 6 days a week or 7 days a week, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm just using McDonald's as an example. We've all seen.
A good example of that is New Coke. If anyone's heard about that,
Yeah,
they just they changed the formula of Coke for no reason, and everyone hated it.
Clear Pepsi, same thing. That's companies trying a gimmick. It's trying to be innovative, new. Everything's new. It's exciting. Oh wow, new. It's kind of pulling off that inner child in us, that inner kid that just gets so excited, coming down the stairs on Christmas kind of thing. Christmas stand new. So yeah. But yeah, that's my personal opinion, is that not all change is positive, just on face value. I don't believe that you can make statements like that without giving amendment to it. I think you need to provide more details than just a blanket statement like continuous change means constant improvement. It sounds real good on a poster, but I just think we need to be careful. This is my opinion, not based in the material. This is just my opinion. I think we need to be careful about open blanket statements that, if you can look at it from an outside viewpoint, that it's a design statement. It's not. Consistency breeds credibility. there is no, you can't, that is a fact. That you can't dispute that particular thing. This is a little bit different. So anyway, I wanted to touch on that, guys, because like I said, Ryan and I had a little conversation about that, and I thought it was it was pertinent. So okay. All right, so we're running a little short on time, so we're not going to get to do a lot of some of the things that I had originally wanted to do. But so basically, I'm gonna give you guys an ethical dilemma. Okay, so you've got a candidate class. There's several of the guys in the class that aren't pulling their weight. They're goofing off in study hall, and it's making it hard for the rest of the guys to study. Maybe they're not pulling their load. Let's just put it that way. I think everybody can be familiar with that. And some of the candidates may feel like that have been working really hard and busting their ass, that this is kind of a slap in the face, and they may be wanting to, I guess, teach them a lesson, or enact some type of retribution. I don't think those are foreign feelings to anybody in this group. So with that understood, basically, once again, I'll reiterate once again, you got your candidate class. There's basically a couple of screw ups, a couple of goof offs, 2, 3, 4 of them, let's just say, depending on the size of the class. And they're making it difficult for the rest of the class because they call attention to themselves. They're falling behind. They're not doing. They don't always pull their fair share, pull their load, and like they're disruptive in study hall kind of thing. So what? I'm going to give you guys a couple of options, or you can come up with your own option, which is even better. So the candidate class president should meet with the candidates in question and get to the bottom of why they aren't performing. Option B, the candidate class should inform the marshal of the situation. Option C, the candidate should be called out in front of the entire candidate class in the next candidate meeting. And then D, you can invent other options, blah, blah, blah. Does anybody have an opinion on the best way to handle unruly candidates in your candidate class?
So you said that they're basically like they're not getting anything done, and that they're just like talking and stuff like that, like not letting the meeting go on as planned, or what was
Let's just confine it just to goofing off in study hall. Like say all you guys are going to the library. It's a larger group of you guys. Say at least 7, 8, 10. And there's always this, couple, 3 guys who just they're on their phones, they're goofing off, they're, sharing shit back and forth, just whatever. But they're not studying. That's obvious, and it's making it harder for the rest of you guys to do your thing. So this is not a one-time incident. Just say every time you guys go to study hall in the library, this happens. So would you have the candidate class president handle the situation? Would you inform the marshal and get him to handle the situation? Would somebody call these guys out in the next candidate meeting, or is there a different way to handle it?
If it was me, I would call them out like right then and there. Like I would, if they were just like goofing off and stuff, and I was trying to study, like I would have been like, hey guys, like this is, we're supposed to be studying, getting our study hours in, like this is what we're supposed to be doing, and y'all are causing a disruption. So either stop or leave,
Okay. Does Does anybody else have any other opinions or any other ways? Nobody? All you guys were in perfect candidate classes? Or maybe all you guys were the ones that were talking during study hall. I'm kidding. So I brought that up just as an easy kind of example. Ryan, you hit the nail on the head. All of you guys are brothers. Well, you are your brother's keeper. You know, we all took the same oath. We all agreed to walk in the way of honor. And part of doing that is upholding your commitment, doing your job and being where you need to be and representing the fraternity in a positive light. Well, you may not think it's a big deal or you're causing a big scene, but it's not hard to see a large group of guys that are obviously together, even if it's like 7, 8, 10. I'm a group of guys, and there's two guys that are screwing off. Most people, if they're there, you know, like you guys are in college, you know, you get schedules that mesh up. You know, okay, well, this group was at the library, you know, at this time, you know, every week or whatever. Well, so is this group, and it's noticeable. You know what I'm saying? So once again, you are your brother's keeper. So you need to enact pure accountability first off, and you know, just what's like, hey, give them a choice: either shut up, do what you need to do, or leave because you can't continue doing what you're doing. You know, and there's ways to do that and hold them accountable without being nasty about it, without being demeaning, without personally attacking. It's like, hey, you know, it's just you're not doing what you're supposed to do, so either do it or leave, basically. You know, if it's a one-time thing, like if it's a one-time thing, I wouldn't just let it go because one time leads to another time, and then every time that you let it go, it makes it exponentially harder to stop the behavior. Okay. You can apply this with anything, whether it's talking in a study hall or not running your committee properly. You know, I mean, if Ryan, I'm gonna use you as an example. You know, if Ryan just, you know, it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna take over this lead thing, and you know, yada yada yada. It's you know, we're doing the holidays, so you know, everybody's gonna kind of be doing their own thing. If he hadn't been proactive, you know, we'd have missed out on several opportunities, you know, to have lead sessions and you know, kind of build up our scorecard for the pursuit of excellence. So that's, you know, he did that and was proactive about it. He could have just as easily as, you know, like, well, you know, it's the holidays, and that'd have been an acceptable, you know, nobody had gone like, oh man, you know, what did you do? You know, nobody called him lazy, you know, nothing. But he didn't rest on his laurels. He was proactive and made something happen. If he hadn't done that, you know, it's not about a confrontation thing, but it would be perfectly acceptable and right for any of you to go, you know, hey man, you know, so we had all this time and nothing was done about lead, you know, what's your plan? You know, are we gonna make our quota, you know, for the semester? You know, are we gonna make it for the year? What's going on? All of you, each and every one of you, whether you're EC or not, have every right to question how processes are done and how things are going, especially if you do it in a respectful and loving manner. You know, because we all love each other. We're all brothers. You know, we may get along better with some than others. That's just called life. But, you know, we're all brothers. And as long as we look at that in that light, or look at each other in that light, then, and just, and be okay if, hey, if somebody calls me out, then, I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing, but there's plenty of other ways and actions that can go bad, and we don't need to talk about those because everybody's seen them, heard them. But basically, my point is that, you can't let basically a few bad apples spoil the bunch. Okay, that's an old school saying that still rings true, because just because you don't want to be confrontational, or you're not confrontational, or you don't consider yourself an alpha male person, whatever, it doesn't matter. You still have the obligation and the right, and the responsibility to have the environment to do what you need to do, and to not be interrupted, and to not be distracted, especially by your teammates. So, you have to interact, pure accountability, and let them know what's going on. Because if somebody's never called out about their behavior, then they'll continue to do it. And I can, you guys all know great examples of both, either or. So, anyway, if you guys get a chance, and I know most of you won't, because it's like, yeah, okay, I don't need any more homework. But think about what you want to focus on, right? I mean, there's every one of you guys, if I really, especially if I got you one-on-one, I could nail you down, and you could tell me at least probably 2 or 3 things about the chapter, how it's run, how things are done, the data that whatever that you would like to change, or that you think you could improve upon. Okay, so out of all of those, pick one and try and make some proactive, effective change in a positive manner that will contribute to the betterment of the chapter. Not just, well, I think this will be easier, or this will be better because it's easier on me. You see what I'm saying? See the difference? You may think initially it's better because it's easier on you, but don't always look for that option or that road, because just because it may be easier on you, it may make it twice as hard for somebody else, or even the next person coming down. That's why the whole idea of like for the EC or the different committee positions, that having a book that you pass down and kind of keep the history of the job, and like, we did this and this how it worked, and that goes into all that part about having dynamic change, because that's that data that helps use the adaptive or predictive part of your change. So it's all like a circle. Anyway, try and think of something that you can focus on that you can actually make a good, an effective change. But when you're thinking about it, think about, like, well, who are the people that can, in the chapter, that can most help to influence this, or what paradigm, what frame of thinking do I need to break, or to move forward, or to change? What are the driving forces that will help produce this change? So anyway, just some food for thought. There was several other things that I hated that we didn't go over, but anyway, at least I got to miss out on the airplane. So, well, listen, guys, I really appreciate it. Thanks for staying a few minutes over. I hope everybody got something out of this. And, just remember that, you need to make a plan, and you need to, work your plan, or plan your work and work your plan. But you also need to not be so married to that plan that you can't deviate from it, and you can't change to, be successful. So, in fact, you have to. So just kind of keep that in mind, guys. Anyway, y'all have a great new year, and Ricky, get with me here in the next couple of days about transportation and funding and such, and we'll make that happen. I'll just probably just transfer the money to you. It'll probably be a lot easier way to do things. As always, guys, I live here in town, so if you need something, just give me a shout, and we'll try and make it happen. You guys take care, stay safe. If you're with your families, enjoy them. Have a very happy new year, and definitely stay safe with that as well. And we caught driving after midnight, please. All right, guys, y'all take care. Enjoyed it.
Thank you, Rich.
We appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Anytime. Enjoy doing it. Y'all take care.
You as well.